go ahead. So tonight, we'd like to welcome Mayor Dardis here to read our Red Day proclamation. I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Mayor.
Good evening. Thank you for all of you for joining us, and thank you for staying engaged this summer with your summer reading program with the West Fargo Public Schools. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Shea for all of the wonderful things that the Little Red Reading Bus does for our community. And Carissa, to you and your staff, congratulations. This is a fun-filled evening, and I'm very honored to be a part of it. And congratulations to all of you for continuing to read all summer long. You'll have great benefits from that as you get older, believe me. So congratulations to all of you. You ready for the proclamation then?
No.
Okay. Whereas the West Fargo Public Library facilitates continued learning during the summer months and cultivates a love of reading in patrons of all ages through the annual summer reading program, and whereas the Little Red Reading Bus of West Fargo, in partnership with the West Fargo Public Schools, the West Fargo Public Library, the West Fargo Educational Foundation, our West Fargo Park District, and the City of West Fargo, and the generosity of our sponsors and community, have made commitments to encourage children to continue reading and learning all summer long so they enter the new school year ready to learn. And whereas reading during the summer is proven to benefit children and stop learning loss that can occur when children are out of the classroom. Whereas the summer reading celebration honors the work of these organizations, partners, and sponsors in promoting reading as a catalyst for our children's future, academic, and lifelong success. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of West Fargo calls on the citizens of all ages in West Fargo to read every day. To further this notable cause, and be it further resolved that this body enthusiastically declares today, Monday, August 12, 2019, Red Day, and recommends and recommits our community to supporting programs and activities that inspire our children to discover the joy of reading. To all of you mom and dads that are in the background, thank you too for encouraging your children to continue their reading all summer long. Nice job, Mom and Dad.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Mayor Dardis. We appreciate you coming out tonight. Next up, we have Miss Brittany from the library. She's going to read a special story for you guys. If you took part in any of our story times or any of our craft project this summer, you'll probably recognize her voice during this story. So I'll pass it over to Brittany.
Okay, so the book I'm going to share with you guys today is quickly becoming one of my favorites. It's called Bunny's Book Club, and it's by Annie Silvestro and illustrated by Tatiana Mavis. And Bunny has never been to the library before, but this library does story times outside, and Bunny loves going to story times to listen to the stories. But when it gets colder out, the story times is inside the library. So what is Bunny going to do? Okay, let's read it, find out. Bunny loves books. There's Bunny right there. He'd loved them ever since he first heard the lady with the red glasses reading aloud outside the library. As he listened, Bunny imagined himself climbing mountains, captaining a ship, ruling a kingdom. But when summer ended, story time moved back inside. Bunny wasn't sure if animals were allowed in the library, but Bunny was sure he couldn't live without books. Night after night, he could hardly sleep for wishing he had to do something. So, with a flashlight in his paws and hope in his heart, Bunny jumped out of bed and tiptoed through the dark. You guys know where he's going? When he reached the library door, it was locked. So were the windows. Bunny tried digging, climbing, and yanking, but nothing worked. How's he going to get in the library? Till he finally noticed the book return. My goodness, it's way up there. The shiny handle was far above his head, but it was no match for a high-hopping bunny hungry for books. Bunny leapt. He clung to the bar, flung himself over, and wiggled his cotton tail through the slot. He landed inside with a thud. Bunny's eyes sparkled at the sight of the shelves bursting with books. It was better than a field full of fresh, crunchy carrots. There's a lot of books in there. Bunny didn't know where to start. He took a deep breath. It smelled as if he were wrapped inside the pages of his favorite book. He followed his nose to the adventure section. There he found stories about swashbucklers, sharks, and superheroes. Bunny greedily grabbed them all. His whiskers twitching with excitement, he slipped his treasures through the book slot one by one. Then, performing his best balancing act, Bunny wobbled home. He couldn't wait to dig in. Do you see all the books Bunny brought home? A lot of books. Except for there's one problem, isn't there? He didn't check them out. Uh-oh. And so Bunny returned to the library each night. He searched and sneaked and then scurried back home to read. Soon his home was more books than burrow. Then one evening, a loud knock startled Bunny. He closed his book and opened the door. Where have you been? Asked Porcupine. Reading, said Bunny. Why? Said Porcupine. Bunny's eyes popped wide open. Why? He sputtered. Have you ever been to the library? It was time for Bunny to let Porcupine in on his secret. Are you sure this is a good idea? Said Porcupine. Calm your quill, said Bunny. I'm too prickly. I'll never fit. Bunny pushed and shoved until pop went Porcupine. Bunny slipped in and flipped on his flashlight. Whoa, said Porcupine. I know, said Bunny. Do you think there's a story about balloons? I've always wondered about balloons. Most definitely, said Bunny. Sure enough, Porcupine found books on balloons and on deserts and dunes and caterpillars and cocoons. When Bunny handed him one about hedgehogs, he hugged it. The two friends took turns cramming books out the slot. Their towers teetered so high they could barely carry them. Back at Bunny's, they cozied up with cups of tea and carrot muffins, and together they read until sunrise. They stayed up all night. One night, Bear noticed the light on at Bunny's. He opened the door and tripped over a stack of books. What's going on? Said Bear. Here, said Bunny, handing him a book. Bear made room and settled in to read. Soon, more curious animals began visiting. Do you have any books on outer space? Said Bird. Or about volcanoes? Asked Mole. I'd like a ghost story, said Mouse. I think it's time for a field trip, said Bunny. One by one, the animals stuffed themselves inside the library. Bear caused a bit of a delay. You see that? It's a little too big for the book return. They scattered about, sniffing the stacks, pawing over pages. Squirrel gathered stories about the circus. Raccoon nabbed one about outlaws and bandits. Frog found a fairy tale. No one heard the key in the front door. No one heard the clack, clack, clacking of footsteps. No one heard the light flick on. Who else is in there? Uh-oh, are they going to get caught? What do we have here? Said the librarian. The animals looked up in shock. Bunny gasped. Porcupine gaped. Bear groaned. Follow me, she said. The animals marched slowly behind her. We're done for, whispered Porcupine. All libraries have rules, said the librarian sternly. Bunny's whiskers trembled. Porcupine's back bristled. Bear eyed the door. Bunny stepped forward to take the blame. You think they're in trouble? Oh. Then the librarian leaned down. The first rule is every book lover must have one of these, she said. And she handed Bunny and his friends shiny new library cards. Now you may borrow books, she said, smiling, as long as you return them, of course. Bunny couldn't believe his ears. They could keep coming to the library. They didn't get in trouble at all. They just needed library cards. He beamed at his fellow readers, then bounced to the shelves. He picked the perfect book. and he proudly checked out the first official selection for Bunny's Book Club. There they are, all reading, just like you guys did this summer, I'm sure. And that's the end of the book. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's pretty cute.
Awesome story. Thank you, Brittany. All right. Next, we'll have Stephanie Shea with the Little Red Reading Bus talk a little bit.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief because you're going to be in for another treat in just a minute. We've had an unusual summer, but we're completely satisfied and so proud of the summer that we did have. And we're so proud and happy to have so many of you with us tonight. And Commissioner President Dardis, that was just a wonderful proclamation. August 12th is just the greatest day. So I'm going to tell you really quickly, one bummer this summer that was really bummed out about was some books that we wanted you all to be able to read and have access to that we want to tell you about now. And we're working with the library to make sure you can get your hands on these books. But these are books that are written by local authors. That's right, people that live right in our West Fargo community, and specifically kids. Maybe some of you may know, but I'm a teacher in the West Fargo School District. And this last year, I was granted money to help publish kids' stories. And a lot of my students worked very hard. We've got one particular author here tonight who is going to read and share her story that she published. And right behind me is a stack. There's 16 hardcover published books, and they are written by kids. And one thing I know is kids like to read other kids' stories. Do you agree? You can give me a thumbs up if you agree. It's kind of fun to see. So these books are going to be made available, but you're in for a treat tonight because we have the local author and illustrator, by the way, Braylyn Brown, coming to you right now, and she's going to read her story.
Hi, I'm going to read you my book, and it's by me. It's called My Poor Little Brother. Dedicated to my football-loving family. One Sunday evening, my football-loving family and I were watching the Texans beat the Cowboys. The Texans had just scored a touchdown. My brother Braxton was screaming, "Let's go!" We were all cheering and excited. I looked around and noticed my little brother Briggs was excited like the rest of us. He was on the stairs and had his hand over his mouth. His eyes were as round as basketballs. He had a Lego piece stuck in his throat. My mom noticed him and ran to him. She yelled out, "Call 911, Bray." She was scared. I ran to call 911 as fast as I could. I felt scared because I thought Briggs was going to die. I dialed the numbers and handed the phone to Mom. She told them our address and the ambulance was coming, but they took the wrong turn. Our house is hard to find because we live in a cul-de-sac. I was feeling really scared and nervous. I ran outside to look for the ambulance. The driver saw me and followed me until I got to our house. Two of the emergency responders ran into our house and helped Briggs get the Lego piece out of his throat. After it came out, Briggs snuggled my mom like a zip tie. We all said thank you to the emergency responders, and we threw away those dangerous Lego pieces too. The end.
Awesome job. Thank you so much for reading your story to us, Braylyn.
Yes, and wasn't that wonderful? A real life problem and a real life community that came to help solve that problem. And luckily your brother is just fine now. So I just love that story, Braylyn. And readers out there, there's 15 other stories like this one here too, The Big Game. And they're all written by kids. So like I said, you're gonna wanna check them out. Isn't that cool?
Awesome.
And there's your brother. He's fine.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Brayden.
Yes, thank you. All right, so next up, we're going to do our craft along. So now you guys can grab your craft pieces from the kit if you got that at the library. Grab a glue stick or some glue or tape, something to stick the pieces together. And then a marker, pencil, crayon, something like that. All right, so some of you maybe guessed what we're making from the supplies we had there, but you guys are going to make your own Little Red Reading Bus tonight. You may not have been able to see the bus as much as you wanted to this summer, but you get to keep one now with you all the time. And it can also be a reminder to read every day throughout the school year and the summer. All right, so if you guys are ready, you can go ahead. First thing we're gonna grab are our 2 red rectangles. So this is gonna be the body of your bus. So what you're gonna do is we're gonna glue the little rectangle to the front edge of our bus. So you can put a little bit of glue right here and then stick it down onto your bus. All right, so just a little glue will go kind of a long way on that. Just right up in the front. And it doesn't matter which way your bus is going. It can go this way or it can go that way, whatever direction you'd like. All right. And the next thing we're gonna grab are 2 circles. I'm guessing you guys can guess what these might be. Maybe the wheels so your bus can roll down the street. So the next step, good job, is to glue the wheels onto the bottom of our bus, just like that. So we want half of the wheel on the paper and half below. So we only need a little bit of glue or tape right up top. We don't want to put glue all over it, otherwise it's going to be sticky and it might stick to your table. So you'll put one in the front of the bus and one in the back of the bus. So my next one I'm going to put somewhere up here. So we should have the front of our bus and our wheels on. I'll wait and let everyone catch up. See, some of you got it together. All right, the next piece we're gonna grab is that little yellow square. And this is the headlight of your bus. So it's gonna go way in the very front edge of your bus. So right up front there. So we could drive the bus at night even. So you're gonna cover the whole thing in glue and stick it right up front. Look like that right up front. So we have our wheels, our body of our bus put together, and then that little headlight up front. All right, looks like everyone's getting pretty close there. Next up, we're gonna grab the white rectangle. This is our front driver's window. So we want that to go on the front of your bus. So right by where that little, the front edge of your bus is, it's gonna go right near the top. So we're gonna glue it down right up here. And it's a nice big window so the bus driver can see all around, see the kids who are coming to stop at the bus. It should be right up front. All right, we have just a few more pieces to glue on here. There's a couple steps left. A few people are catching up there. All right, so next you're gonna grab your little black pieces that are left. So we have 2 rectangles and a triangle. These are the rest of the windows of the bus. So you can put them in any order you want. I did kind of every other one, made a little pattern there, but whatever colors you want. And you're gonna glue those up near the top of your bus, right after that driver's window. So you can go ahead and glue those down, all 3 of them. Oh, getting kind of messy with my glue. All right, so there I have my windows all on the bus. We have our driver's window and then the smaller windows to follow. All right, and then we should have just one more piece left in your kit there. It's this long white rectangle. That's the last thing we're gonna glue on. That's gonna go just below your windows there. So somewhere kind of in the middle of your bus. So make sure you put glue on the whole strip to make sure it really sticks down. So it should be just straight line right underneath your windows there, all the way across your bus. Awesome job. We see some of the buses out there looking great. And that was the last thing we're gluing on. Good job, you guys. So you can set your glue to the side. And now if you have a marker or pen, pencil, crayon, anything like that, we have one last step to do. And that is to give our bus a driver. I just did a little stick person there with a steering wheel and a seat so you can draw yourself on the bus. Maybe if you've seen the bus with Stephanie driving around, or whatever, if you have a little picture, you could cut that out of yourself, put yourself driving the bus, whatever you'd like to do. And then the very last thing is to name your bus, or you can make it a reminder to read every day, like I did there. Or you could call it your little red reading bus, whatever you'd like to do. And that's our last step there. We'll let you finish up. Give another minute or so to finish your details on your bus. If you want to show it off, you can hold it up to your camera. We can take a peek. Awesome. Oh, awesome job. Those are awesome buses, you guys. There'll be lots of little red reading buses around West Fargo. Good job. All right. And as you're kind of finishing up and cleaning up, you can set your bus to the side. And our last story we have for you all, we're going to do our read along. So we're going to read that book that came in your kit, so The Snail and the Whale. So if you have that by you, you can grab that and follow along. Awesome job. Good job. I'm loving these little red buses. All right, we'll wait just another minute here, let people finish up. Oh, good job, you guys. Good job. Oh, awesome. Nice job. These are some very nice buses. Good jobs, you guys. Good job. All right. And when you're ready, you can grab your book to follow along with us. All right. Looks like most people are ready. So our book we're reading along tonight is The Snail and the Whale by Julia Donaldson and Axel Scheffler. So I'll try to show it too, but you guys can follow along or read along with us too. This is the tale of a tiny snail and a great big gray blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships in the dock. And as she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep and the world is wide. How I long to sail, I said to my tiny snail. These are the other snails in the flock, who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock, and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wiggle, sit still, stay put." But the tiny sea snail sniffed and sighed, then cried, "I've got it, I'll hitch a ride." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail that looped and curled and said, "Ride wanted around the world." This is the whale who came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright. A humpback whale immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out of the starlit sea and said to the snail, "Come sail with me." This is the sea, so wild and free, that carried the whale and the snail on his tail to towering icebergs and far-off lands, with fiery mountains and golden sands. You guys see what else is on this island? Down there too. These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed. The tiny snail on the tail of the whale. These are the caves beneath the waves, where colorful fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam past the whale and the snail on his tail. This is the sky, so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with a thunderstorm, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. And she gazed at the sky, the sea, the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand. And she said to the whale, "I feel so small." But then came the day the whale lost his way. These are the speedboats running a race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with their ear-splitting roar, making him swim too close to the shore. This is the tide slipping away. And this is the whale lying beached in the bay. "Quick, off the sand, back to the sea," cried the snail. "I can't move on land, I'm too big," moaned the whale. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then, "I've got it," she cried, and started to crawl. "I must not fail," said the tiny snail. This is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. This is the teacher holding her chalk, telling the class, "Sit straight, don't talk." This is the board, as black as soot. And this is the snail with the itchy foot. "A snail, a snail!" The teacher turns pale. "Look," say the children, "it's leaving a trail." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail saying, "Save the whale." These are the children running from school, fetching the firemen, digging a pool, squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool. This is the tide coming into the bay, and these are the villagers shouting, "Hooray!" As the whale and the snail safely away. Back to the dock, and the hawk on the rock, who said, "How time's flown, and haven't you grown?" And the whale and the snail told their wonderful tale of shimmering ice and coral caves, and shooting stars and enormous waves, and of how the snail, small and frail, with her looping, curling, silvery trail, saved the life of the humpback whale. Then the humpback whale held out his tail, and on crawled snail after snail after snail. And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the great Humpback whale. All right, thank you for reading along, following along. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thank you all for taking part in our event this evening and taking part in summer reading and the Little Red Reading Bus this summer. We really appreciate you coming out virtually all summer long or using the Little Red Reading Bus. Parents out there, we do have a summer reading survey. We appreciate any feedback and information you're able to give us. If you want to take that, I will be sending out an email with that for you guys, or it's on our website. We appreciate any feedback we get. And also just keep an eye out for us this fall. We have lots of fun events still coming up. And you may even see the Little Red Reading Bus out and about this fall.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah. Thanks,
Alrighty.
everyone. Your buses look fabulous. Thank you, Braylyn, for reading your wonderful story. And stay tuned for all those other stories. Boy, I love seeing those buses. Happy reading, everyone. Congratulations and best of luck to everyone for a wonderful start to whatever this next school year brings for you. Keep reading. We'll see you at the library and on the bus. Yay!
Bye, everyone.